All right, welcome everybody. Tonight's CWPA class is going to be keys of for uneven teams in games that we always run into the situation. Doesn't matter what level you do, from age group to high school to club. So we're just going to talk about it and give you some suggestions and ideas about what's going on, how we can manage the game better. So first of all, the keys in this game where we have chaotic situations where we've got poor play and balanced scores, situations where the referee is pivotal in this case. This can either cause more problems or disorder, or we can take proactive steps to kind of restore balance, guide the game to a smoother and more enjoyable conclusion. We're going to have some guidelines below just to go over it, and you probably have other ideas that if I haven't come across, we'll talk about them and you guys can bring them up. And this is also geared to, just to go back, this is geared to just regular play or designed for regular and team development games, not situations where it's nationals, national event, varsity level for CWPA, because we don't want to try to create something that shouldn't be out of balance for that particular level. All right, next page. So before the game, we're always going to treat it, every game should always be treated like you're doing a national championship game. Doesn't matter. We want to stay engaged throughout the game. Your body language does speak a lot of volumes in this case, because it reflects the level of focus to the players, coaches, your partners, fans, and evaluators, if there is any. Always observe the teams in warm-ups. It gives you an idea of what the skill level is going to be, and avoid predetermining the game's outcome, regardless of the score in the early stages. Here's kind of things that I would suggest not to do. First of all, is don't act hasty to jump into conclusions because the team is down 3 or 4-0, that they can't come back. Make sure that this disadvantages their team. You should allow the opportunity for them to make a normal comeback. Never suggest or imply to a coach, players, partner that you plan to make the game even balanced before it even begins or in the early stages of a game. I've heard referees do that, and coaches get really upset with that. So we want to keep that kind of like that's for later on in the game, never in the beginning and never the early stages. And, the outcome of the game has not even been determined yet. And then don't let the game get out of control. A lot of times things happen where it gets overly physical. We still need to manage the integrity of the game as we go along with the game. All right, during the game, start from the very beginning. Call it fair, call it consistent all the way from the start. Enforce major fouls, including exclusions, penalties, over-aggressive behavior throughout the game. You never want to stop doing that when the game starts. Between quarters, when you recognize, teams, players that don't understand the referee's calls during the game, sometimes it's a good opportunity to educate either the coach, team, players about the roles that they might be struggling with. In some cases, it may be appropriate to explain the rules to both coaches. An example, I had a game where we had a player had an improper reentry. They didn't quite understand it. And then sure enough, the other team does the same thing. And so sometimes it's good in between quarters, if you can, to educate them, unless obviously the coach knows about it, they just taken care of it. But we're just trying to make sure that, especially when the team is getting behind and they don't understand the rules, help them out, encourage them so they understand why you're calling it and what the situation is. So we're in a stage where the game has already been decided. So what you want to watch out for is the winning teams. Watch out for taunting. It might be more frequent depending on the team, Don't let that get out of hand, because that's demoralizing to the losing team. Notice when the teams have already substituted their first stringers, they may have already substituted after 5 goals, 6 goals. Well, it's just second string in. Let's just see how it goes from there. And some teams even have a third string. So you don't want to just start making makeup calls or doing things that are, you don't want to, change the integrity of the game at that point. So just keep an eye on it as teams change situations. Also, when the game's already been cited, and apparently, like when you're in the fourth quarter or something, you might want to suggest that you ask the coach if they want to do a practice or 6-on-5, so they can work a man down situation. And sometimes it really creates a kind of a positive thing. I actually sometimes have asked the coach or the team, hey, which player do you want me to call an exclusion on, so they can practice it. So when they do have an exclusion against a player, they all laugh about it. The team that's ahead, they'll laugh about it. They're just having fun with it. But each team is different. So you want to be careful and sensitive to what each team and what's the situation for each team. For the losing team, be aware of the frustration that could lead to more aggressive fouls, minor maximum misconducts, even flagrant. You really want to curtail that. Provide more opportunities at that point to maybe call more ordinary fouls, 50-50, exclusions and penalties when warranted. But this does not mean that you call the fouls that don't match the play. You can't just make up something that doesn't even match the play. That makes it too obvious. Just try to stay within the realm of the game itself and the integrity. All right, be ready for anything. Even in blowout games, there's always a call or two that you'll be challenged on. You want to be prepared to make that call the correct call. And you feel good about it when you do make the call that maybe you haven't seen in a while or you've never seen before. When you have games at this caliber, sometimes you'd be surprised on this game, this foul or this situation you weren't ready for, or if you were ready for it, you made the right call. It makes you feel good that you're paying attention to the game and what's going on. And above all, prioritize good sportsmanship, player development at all times. No one enjoys blowout games or situations. It's a valuable learning tool in our sport. Recognize the moments where you can use your resources effectively, training, maintaining balance, ensuring a safe and positive experience for everyone involved. And lastly, consider the type of experience you want these players to have. As we continue to nurture and grow the sport of water polo, this is a vital key element. We don't want negativity. We want everyone to have a positive experience so we can recruit them to become the next liaison, the next coach, the next referee, and help grow the sport wherever they go, wherever they land up. All right. That's all I really had. Does anybody have any questions or situations where they've done things differently?
My only comment, Mike, was on the 6-on-5 for defensive purposes. I haven't done that one before, and I like it because most coaches, if they're blowing the other guys out, that's a great opportunity for the other team to score too. Because I've noticed that in a couple of blowout games when the other team scores for the first time. I mean, they go nuts. They go absolutely like they've just won the championship, and it's 13-0, and they're going like, "Wow, we scored!" And it's so everybody's happy, and the other and the winning team is usually like, "Yeah, okay," and it's a very good vibe. So I appreciate that insight on the 6-on-5 defensively. That makes a lot of sense.
Anybody else? Thanks, Stephen. Anybody else? Well, that was pretty good. Go ahead.
What's up, Mike? How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I just had a situation lately. It's a blowout game, and there's girls in the pool.
Mm-hmm.
So the coaches was yelling and screaming, "She's a girl! She's a girl!" Like if she was touch and eat everything else. I said, she's a girl. She playing with the boys to get the same fairness. And then she, on the other side, she was so aggressive, pulling the boys out. She got kicked out.
Mhm.
And then you tell me, how do you kick a girl? I said,
You
she
can,
pulled, she
yeah.
has to get kicked out. But because of the blowout game, I want to manage it. Since still, what should we do?
You brought up a good point, especially when you have mixed genders playing the same game, and it does make it challenging for referees. And if I think you said that the girl was on the winning team, right? Or was she on the losing team? Well, let's take it from the girl's perspective. Is we have to be sensitive to what's going on with women. But if the women are over aggressive, and explain what they need to do to not get excluded.
He's back.
In this case, oh, you're back. You want to explain to the coach, instead of explaining it to girls, yes, if she does this, then I won't exclude her. So maybe an education in that aspect of what you can tell her or the coach to do that she shouldn't get excluded, that might help the situation out. It doesn't guarantee that coaches will always agree with you, and that's always going to be the thing. But we're trying to promote good sportsmanship, and we're trying to be objective and then have the integrity so everyone has an opportunity to play and enjoy the game. Thank you. Anybody else?
You had a good point with having the quicker whistle. The minute they go after the goalie, it's an automatic boom. Just don't even go after them. And when they're pressing all over, you just give an ordinary every time, and then so they're not rewarded to just smother them on defense. And
right,
they usually get the picture, and just super quick, not to let them just get completely steamrolled.
Correct. And that's a great point, especially on the perimeter. Maybe they haven't even got down to the front court in almost 2 quarters. Everybody knows the score is already 13-0. Well, let's try to help them out just with the ordinary fouls to begin with. If you have an opportunity for a potential exclusion, that's okay too. But if we get them to move the ball down and they get a shot off, okay, that's step one. And then we can, hopefully they can continue that positive aspect as the game goes on. Because, if they haven't got a shot off in the first quarter, it makes it very demoralizing. And it doesn't mean, you're calling the game straight up in the first quarter. You're trying to make sure that there's fairness, integrity, and watch the coaches, see if they start subbing. If they got like 15, 20 players, see if they start subbing after a couple of goals. That's going to tell you that, okay, maybe we're going to watch, maybe this group will be even with the group that's already out there that's behind. Maybe that's going to be a normal even game at that point. But recognizing it is really the key, I think. And having a good aspect for both teams, so it's a positive experience, enjoying it. Like Steven said, at some point, maybe sometimes most coaches have come to me and say, hey, can we start running clock after the second half? Or yeah, go ahead. Or they've got an injured player and they're already borrowing players. So you can be a little bit more lenient on that, especially when it's a forfeit game, and see what they want to do. I never try to approach them first. I let them try to come to me. I might suggest it after halfway's over and I can see that they're struggling just swimming down the field. I might suggest that to the team, but then I want them to agree, have both coaches agree. I'm not going to make any changes unless both coaches know what the heck I'm doing. But you used to be surprised, if some coaches might say no or might say we'll do it later. I'll say, okay, that's okay. That's, this is your game and I'm just here to manage it. So anybody else has had opportunities and how you guys deal with this kind of situation before?
I've never had this experience because I'm not a referee, but something in the office we've talked about is talking to the teams about trying to avoid blowouts. It's not as fun for everyone if especially our struggling teams. It's not going to be fun for them if they show up and they're beat 20-3. That we lose a lot of teams because it just feels like it's not competitive for them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. If you feel like that's something it would be appropriate for referees to mention to teams.
I think after the first game of the tournament, they will probably figure out what teams need work, which ones don't, and see if they can talk to the other team to see how they want to play it. And maybe they can give us some guidelines of when they want us to start helping them out instead of us guessing when it's going to happen. I think that's a great idea. If you're already doing that, that's one big step that a lot of coaches don't know at the club level is, hey, we want to make this fun. We don't want you guys to just go home and, get beat 20-0 on every game. We want you guys to enjoy this experience. And I think them communicating with the other team and they can tell us before the game when they want us to get started on that, that's okay with us. We know the competitor teams aren't even going to say that. We know that. It's all the teams that are not competitive. They're just trying to survive and trying to grow the sport. That's the ones we need to protect and encourage them to keep going. And, so we can help them grow it in their particular area. That's good. I didn't know you guys did that. That's a great thing. That's awesome. Anybody else? Any experiences? Obviously, everybody's got a lot of experience in reffing on this channel right here. So,
hey Mike, this is Steve. I got a couple comments too.
Sure.
In the Northeast, a lot of us will, when there's a team that's at a extreme disadvantage, we'll try to overemphasize some of our signals or gestures. Like ball was passed too high or too far, or like overemphasize the pull back. You're really pulling. So a lot of the teams that are better know the signals and the gestures well. Some don't. So we try to overemphasize those. And then, just talking to players during dead time, or, definitely not coaching them up, but just saying, hey, you want to be careful of that, or actually emphasizing the positive things. Hey, that was a great pass you just made, or hey, that's a great shot. Nice goal. And definitely at the end of the games, we're always going to the, both teams, but especially that losing team. Hey, you guys did a great job. Way to keep fighting, keep up the great work. Just being positive with them at all times.
That's a great point. That's really good stuff, Steve. I know exactly what you're talking about. And those are the things that we should all be doing as a collective group. Sometimes I actually ask the team that's way ahead, hey, why don't you start passing on your offhand? So if you're right-handed, pass on your left. Maybe don't shoot the ball until the last 5 seconds. Maybe shoot on your offhand with the last 5 seconds. There's all kinds of different ways to do it, and you hit on some really good points. And you're trying to make it fun for the winning team because they know they're going to win, but you'd be surprised sometimes when I've called an exclusion against, they say, go ahead and exclude. And I say, okay, which one do you want me to exclude? And they tell me the player, and then I exclude them, and they laugh because the bench is laughing because they're the ones who picked him. I didn't pick him. And I go, hey, your guys picked him, not me. I didn't do that. And then sometimes what I do is then I go, okay, I tell the guy who got excluded, okay, you pick the next one. So he picks the next player that gets kicked out. So it creates this fun atmosphere for the winning team that they're not negative to the losing team. They're just having a good experience. They're learning stuff. They're learning how to pass offhand. It makes it more enjoyable. At the end of the day, everyone had a great time, just a great experience. It's almost like an alumni game at some point. And you're just trying to, sometimes when you have alumni games, you really need to help the alumni a lot more than you would the varsity players. So you kind of use that same aspect. Doesn't mean you cheat or whatever, but you can have lots of opportunities to make it fun. Don't be so rigid about the process, but you want to be professional always from the very get-go. You don't want to be that guy that, oh my God, why am I here? What am I doing this game for? No, we want to be here because we want to make sure that they get the best out of me as a professional referee so that they can enjoy the sport and so they know that I'm in it for them for as well for both teams. Thanks, Steve. That was good.
Well
Anybody
said.
else?
I just want to follow up on this point. It's on the high school level. There's some coaches do not like us teaching.
Correct.
Just officiate. Don't teach my
Correct.
team. It
Correct.
happened to one of my official, and
This
said,
is true.
sorry, just coach. You just officiate. You just coach. So sometimes we want to teach, but just know your limit and know what the other coach is going to accept it or not. Some of them, they don't like it.
Correct. And that's where you have to do the balancing act. It's a teeter-totter effect. You don't want to be the point where you're coaching a player at a high school level. I usually just talk to the coach. I don't really talk to players because it's high school and it's a little bit more intense. At club level, it's more an opportunity to grow the sport, and so they can participate in the sport that some of them have never done before. And like Steve said about the whistles, the same thing. I would be some referees only blow the whistle, but they don't do the hand signals of why they excluded a player or why it was an offensive foul and what number was an offensive foul. All of that is education up front. But like you said, it's high school level is a little bit different. Because they may have a more of a stake in the game, or you can tell when a coach is more receptive or not. And you're just going to have to play it by ear. You're just going to have to, each team and each coach is different. And some coaches, I would never approach that and never change my philosophy on the game. And I just pretty much call it straight up, but I still might call ordinary fouls to help them. If they want to blow them out, I can't fix it, but I can help them, obtain a positive aspect. Good coaches know that that's what we should be doing in this sport. And they understand that. And some coaches don't get it. They're out to win, and that's okay for them, but I want to make sure we have a safe environment for all these high school kids and referee the game the way we should referee the game. So everyone's safe and everyone enjoys the game. A good one. That's a good one, Terry. Anybody else? All right. Anybody else? And then you guys brought up some really good points. Really thank you for that. There's always different ways to look at it. And sometimes when you're talking to your department, find opportunities so you can grow. It's really great to have, good ideas. Think about situations you can help teams out. We're all in it for them and because we want them to grow the sport and just have fun with it. So, all right. If anybody else doesn't have anything, I'd wish you guys a great night. Thank you very much, and have a good Thanksgiving.